Hello everybody, Jen from Scrapping Under the Influence. I am back with a new project with a new kit available. But this is using the absolutely beautiful Feels Like Home from Carta. So Carta is of course the heavy textured cardstock line that Echo Park does. I love their papers. They're one I tend to gravitate to quite a bit. So for this one, this is a very simple project. I did this one with the idea behind it that this is something you could make and give to someone who is not a scrapbooker or a mini album maker, and they would be able to put pictures in it and not be confused about where to put the picture. So there's not tons of flaps and flips and, you know, all of the things that we like to do that are highly interactive in a mini album. This is something you could give to someone even with the pictures already in it, that they would know exactly what they need to do with it. So on the front here we have a spot for a photo, and I don't know what my measurement was on that. I believe it's 5 by 4.5. And then I've got my chipboard pieces on there just to add to that. I've got a sticker on the spine, and of course, as you know, I like to put a sticker on the back of my books if I have one available when all is said and done. The kit, of course, comes with the paper collection, the matching solids, the chipboards, the ribbon, the cardstock, the chipboard, everything you need to complete the project as shown. So when you open this up, we've got a nice big spot over here for a 5 by 7 picture. This is loose, so you'll be able to slip a picture underneath that. On this page, I tried to use some of the stickers to kind of mimic the portrait wall on the cut apart here and on the opposite page. So this one opens up and you've got space for 4 by 6 photos all throughout that. And then this just ties closed. Back here we've got a couple of nice good big pockets to put extra photos in. This one flips up, and then there is another nice photo spot in here, as well as, you know, you'd have that space there to add a photo. If you didn't want to decorate the front of this, you could absolutely get another photo or two on there as well. Back here we've got another nice large pocket to put additional photo mats, and then another layout. So this one is, now watch, now it glued down too much. No, there it is. That's loose to tuck your pictures underneath on the side there. I had a little boo-boo with the glue, which I don't think you can see it on screen. I can see it in front of me, but that's okay. It happens. Back here we've got some kind of floating pockets that I've got just additional photo mats in here. This opens up like so, so you've got some photo mats there, plus you've got, it's sitting on top of a belly band. This is all one piece, so we go through that in the tutorial, but you can tuck additional photos underneath that. And then back here we've got, again, you can tuck a photo back here. This is a 4 by 6 mat, and then I did fussy cut out some of these little tags from this sheet just to add down there at the bottom. And then on the last page, we've got just a very simple 4 by 4 waterfall that is just, again, kind of floating out here on the back inside cover of the book. So, super easy. Honestly, this would be a good beginner project. If you are new to making mini albums, this would be a good beginner project. There's not a ton of complicated elements in here that you can put this one together fairly quickly. But like I said, I designed it as a gift for your non-scrapbooking family member, where they would still know what to do with the book. So the kit is available, and thank you for watching this far. Tutorial starts now. Okay, so we are going to start with 2 pieces of chipboard that are 8 1/4 by 8 1/4, and our spine is going to be 8 1/4 by 2. I've covered the back of those with tape. I'll grab my scoreboard and my spacers. The cardstock to wrap the covers is going to be 10 1/4 by 10 1/4. so you're going to put that in your scoreboard. You're going to use your 1-inch top spacer and your 1-inch cover spacer, clearly marked so you know which ones you're looking for. And we're going to go ahead and get the tape off of the back of this. Okay. Oops. That's not what's supposed to happen. There you go. Okay. And you're just going to push that up against that top and lay it down. And then repeat with the other cover piece. These are my Clearview spacers, clearly marked so you know which one you're using where, so you can make sure your paper is pushed where you want it to go, so that even if you're doing this without a scoreboard, you can see if your paper is lined up. Your cardstock, that is, not your paper, you know what I mean. And these are available on my website. Now for our spine, our paper is, our cardstock is 10 1/4 high by 5 inches wide. So I'm going to leave my cover space. I'm going to put my 1.5 inch spine spacer on there. And that's going to give you that 1.5 inch spacing on both sides. Okay. And we're going to do the same thing again. There we go. Okay, we are finished with those. And we can move the, whatever that thing is, scoreboard out of the way. Okay, so we are going to fold our cardstock around our chipboard. So I'm using the desk to fold that over and then burnish on the ends. Same thing again, you're just folding it over on your desktop, using the chipboard and the desk to help. And then again, and burnishing. And again, and burnishing. Okay, we are going to try out some new scissors. We'll see. They are non-stick, so we'll see how these come out, if I like them or not. That's always a big if. Oops. Okay, yeah, they're not bad. Not as comfortable as I would prefer, but they are super sharp, which is good. And they're thinner, so I can kind of, I don't know, I can kind of see better where I'm lining up my cut, which is nice. Okay, so we're going to take 1/4 inch tape and just on the ends here for now. And what we're going to do is I'm going to get the backing off of that. I'm going to go ahead and do both ends. You can do them one at a time, of course. What you're going to do is you're going to come along the edge of the chipboard with your glue, up in the middle. You're going to take your bone folder, you're going to push up against the chipboard, back and forth, fold that over, and then burnish it down. Using both the tape and the glue, the tape helps it grab immediately. You don't have to spend a whole lot of time, you know, pressing down and burnishing the paper, which if you have arthritis or any other sort of grip issues with your hands, which I do, it just works a lot better. Okay. All right, so that's that. You're going to flip it over and you're going to burnish along the edge of that chipboard to work that paper down over the edge of the chipboard. See how this is now very defined, whereas before it wasn't? That is what you want. Okay. Once that's done, you're going to come back in with your score tape. And we're going to run it along that outside edge on both sides. Okay, that is ready to go. Now, the two cover pieces, it's a similar process, only we're going to wrap all four sides. So again, you're going to use your work surface and the chipboard to bend that cardstock around and then burnish it down. Okay, go ahead and do the other one. Now at this point, you of course have seen the walkthrough of this video and you know that this is not a complicated project at all. It's a very pretty paper and I wanted to keep it simpler so that this is one you could very easily put together for your Thanksgiving pictures or, you know, anything like that. Family reunion, just a family gathering, whether it's Thanksgiving or not. I personally would just as soon skip Thanksgiving, but I get overruled every year. But that's okay. And then we're just going all the way around and trimming just like we did with the spine, because what you need to do is remove those corners. This way you're getting that miter, which you want so that you don't have anything overlapping as you wrap your chipboard, and you're not having to go back and cut it multiple times. Okay, so then I come back and I can clearly see where I need to miter. Going this other direction. That right there is what's going to bug me as they keep sliding down, because they're probably not meant for this. Not like I'm using them. So we're gonna, it was a nice try. We're gonna go back to my other scissors. Not that I need them again for a minute, but, or actually probably at all really from this point. No, I do. Mitering. Okay, so on both of these, you're gonna go around all four sides with your tape. Second one. Okay, that's good there. I'm going to go ahead and go all the way around and take the backing off of my tape. Again, you can do one side at a time. I just prefer to do it this way. And we're going to do the same thing, only on all four sides. So you're going to come along the edge of your chipboard, up in this center section, between the tape and the chipboard. You're going to burnish up, fold over, and burnish it down. Okay? I'm going to turn to my opposite side, do the same thing. You can just go around, around, around. I like to do opposite sides. I just think it looks nicer. Not that it's noticeable because you're going to mat the whole thing, but I know, and I know I like it. It's one of those things, I don't know. Go. We're going to do the second one the exact same way. Okay. And again. You don't need, if you're doing the combo of the tape and the glue, you don't need a ton of glue. And I know some people do. I don't ever put my glue on top of my tape because it can just cause your tape to lift up. At least in my experience, I know there are some that do that and it works fine for them. It has never worked for me. Okay, so now you're gonna have all your pieces pretty side up. We're gonna come in here. We're gonna take the tape off of one side. And we are gonna put glue, okay? So, I'm going to do glue, not quite to the edge of my chipboard, in part because this is why we get that nice and defined. And my thing's of course going to clog on me. Okay, I'm going to lay this on top. I'm going to guide it with my finger up here. I'm going to watch it down at the bottom. Pull that over until I feel it slide off of the chipboard. And then drop it down. Okay, wipe this off and see if I can figure out why all of a sudden, because it's nice and full, it should not be clogged. Yeah, who knows? Some days it just does that. Okay. All right. Same thing again. Bring that over, drop it down, and burnish. And because you've used the tape and the glue, you should be able to pick it up, turn it over, without worrying about it coming loose or anything like that. I'm going to burnish from this side. And then the last piece is another piece of cardstock. This is 8 1/8 by 6 inches. So this was 5 inches. You want it at least a ½ inch over the edge of your wings. Okay, this is what reinforces your spine. And my tape is hanging over ever so slightly on this end, and I don't know why. Here we go. All right. This piece, I highly recommend you cover it entirely in tape as opposed to gluing, because it's going to go down flat, it's not going to bubble, it's just going to have better, smoother adhesion than if you are trying to use glue. So I've got the backing off of that. I'm going to center that up and put it down. Okay, so I'm going to burnish that all over. I'm going to fold up and burnish into that crease. Okay. The other side, do the same thing. And I'm going to turn it over like so, and I'm going to pinch it. Okay. That's going to set everything in place, and we're good to go. Now, because this project does have several elements that have to be matted first. I actually have the inside spine matting ready to go. This is 8 1/8 by 1 7/8. This is one of the solids that's in the kit. Okay. All right, so that I'm going to set aside. I'm going to grab my scoreboard. A little pick away because we're done with that. And we are going to work on our pages, our hinge and our page bases. Okay. So your hinge is going to be 8 inches by 5.5. And I'm going to take just a hair off of this. And when I say just a hair, literally that's how much I took off. Just so it's not the full 8 inches high, okay? I have pre-scored just so that I could go through as I was doing that, making sure all of my elements are gonna fit the way I want it to, but. So the 5.5 at the top of your scoreboard, that still seems long, but we'll see. You're gonna score it 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5, and 5. Okay. Once you have done that, we're going to turn it over. We're going to grab a pencil and we're going to mark. So XX skip. XX skip, XX skip, XX. Okay? Everywhere that there's an X, those are the pieces that are going to get glued together. Okay? You're going to start in the middle, so one of these two center sections. I'm going to fold this over and I'm going to visually make sure that my corners are lined up. Okay? I'm then going to burnish from the center out. Okay? And then I'm going to fold it back, and again, from the center out. The reason for that is that's going to help keep your score lines straight. If you're starting at one edge and pushing across, that's how you end up with crooked score lines. Okay, so we're going to fold that back, from the middle out, and there's your first hinge. Okay, we're not gluing it. Turn it over, go to the next middle piece. Okay, my corners are good. Middle out, hold it back, middle out, turn it over, fold it back again, middle out, okay? I'm going to pull that back out, and we'll go to our ends. Our ends, I mean, they are what they are. You know, you can look to see if it's lined up, but it'll be lined up. It's a 1/2 inch, it's fine. And again, you're just burnishing from the middle out. I'm going to turn it over, fold it back on itself, and again, middle out. Okay, and the last one, fold it over, middle out, fold it over, middle out. Okay, so we're going to go back through and do the exact same process again with the glue. Okay, so I'm going to get rag ready, and we're going to start on one of our two center hinges. I'm going to fold this over, and again, I'm going to look and make sure I'm lined up. And again, I'm going to burnish from the middle out and the middle out. If you have glue squeeze out, that's fine. We're going to fold back just in case any of the glue that's squeezed out in the middle here. And again, middle out. Turn it over, fold it back again. Middle out. Okay, there's your first hinge. Go to the next middle. Okay, we're going to fold that over. We're going to make sure we're lined up on our sides again. Middle out. And the reason I still go slower on these is because hinges are one of the most frustrating elements in making mini albums, because that's what you most often end up having to remake, because if it's too screwy, then your pages are crooked. Okay? Doing it this way, I don't know the last time I had to remake a hinge because it was crooked. Since I started, just taking my time and doing it in the way that I'm showing you now. Okay, so we're on our last one. Okay, middle out. Turn it over, fold it again. Middle out. And then our last one. good. We're going to grab our book. We're going to zoom back out. And I am going to grab this like this. So I'm going to turn it over and get glue on the back. I'm going to grab my outside edges. I'm going to kind of pull that out and get this centered where I want it. Okay, hold it still, burnish with your finger. Okay, set that aside to dry. Okay, page bases. You need 4 pieces that are 8 by 8. These do not have any scoring, so you can set those aside. You need 4 pieces that are 8.5 by 8.5. You're going to score each one of these with the, well, they're 8.5 by 8.5, so 8.5 inch side at 1/2 inch. You're going to turn it a 1/4 turn and 1/2 inch again. Okay, you're going to do that on all 4 pieces. And like I said, mine are pre-scored to make sure. It's how I check my measurements. Okay, you're going to miter these. I'm going to do them 2 at a time. So we're going to miter this corner, like so. We're going to miter that one, like so. Something is stuck on here. And then in this bottom corner where those score lines cross, we are going to go straight across. Okay, just like that. Get out the undo and clean my scissors off here in a minute. Okay, same thing again on my other 2 pieces. And again, across that middle. Okay. All right. So we are going to fold and burnish. We're going to do it the exact same way. We're going to fold and burnish from the middle out. Okay. So middle, middle. And when you see me go across like this and then come back, I'm not applying pressure coming back until I get in the center, and then I'm applying pressure again. Okay. But as long as you are burnishing your score lines from the middle out, they should almost always come out straight, unless of course your paper shifted while you were scoring, which I literally do all the time. Okay. Again. Okay. Now I'm going to grab my bases. You can do these one of 2 ways. You can glue them with those tabs facing to the outside. That bothers me. I don't know why. I don't ever do them that way. So I always will do them with the tabs going to the inside. Okay, so I'm putting glue on one tab. I'll line that up. So I'm going to do all of one side, then we'll go back and we'll do the other side. Glue, not good enough on that corner. That's okay. That's easy to fix. Okay, the next one. And as I'm doing that, I'm just lining up my edges just like you would straighten a stack of paper. Okay, so that's where you want to make sure you get enough glue on here that your page will kind of move, but not too much, or it moves too much, if that makes any sense whatsoever. Okay. Like that one, I got a little carried away. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna pick up my stack, I'm gonna flip it back over, and I'm gonna go ahead and do my other side because I'm gonna use my hinge spacers to put this together. Okay. With that, I can go ahead and easily finish the page assembly and then come back in and put them on the hinge. If you do not have my spacers, and why don't you have my spacers at this point? Totally kidding, I know. Then you would want to come on here and do one side and, like, you know, wiggle it out so you've got your spacing, and then glue this down. Spacers, you don't have to do it that way. Okay, so I'm going to go through, I'm going to go ahead and glue these closed. And why the glue wants to fight with me tonight, I don't know. Because it knows I have a mile-long to-do list, that's why. Okay, let's set that aside, move on to the next one. I always joke that I do like assembly line crafting because I'll do like all of a similar step and then I'll go back through and I'll do all of the next step. Even when I'm just doing stuff on my own that I'm not filming or teaching or whatever, I do the same thing. I don't know why. I don't know. That just in my head makes sense, I guess. I don't know. Not your insight into Jennifer's crazy brain today. Okay. And our last one. That one had a little bit extra glue on there, much like just happened on this corner. That'll be fine. Okay. All right. So again, I'm going to flip it back over, and I'm going to grab my spacers. So the spacers, these are 1/2 inch hinge spacers. I have 3/8, 1/2 inch, 5/8, and 3/4. I personally have never made an album with a 3/4 inch gusset on my pages, ever. The biggest I've ever done is 5/8. Although I had enough requests for a 3/4 inch, I did design and manufacture a 3/4 inch. Manufacture, I make it sound so fancy. It's literally me in my craft room with my glow forge. There is no manufacturing. It's all me. Okay, so you slide those over your hinges, make sure they're down flat against your spine, and then all you're going to do is come in here with your page. I'm going to add glue in these corners and in this corner. Okay, about 1 inch in and 1 inch in. Okay, so you can see there's all my messy glue. I'm actually going to turn this sideways. It seems to be a little bit easier. And I'm going to slip this down on my hinge, pushed down against the spacer, because the spacer is 1/8 of an inch thick. This will give you your perfect 1/8 of an inch spacing off of your hinge so that your pages turn smoothly and lay more flat. So you're just going to hold that for a second, because after we get these all in and we slide our spacers out, then you go back in with your glue and you get this center section. It is too hard to try and, you know, pinch all this down and get it adhered to try to do the whole thing at once. I tried doing that in the beginning, didn't work like I would have liked, and this is the method that I have settled on that works the easiest. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing with our next one. And again, just keep an eye that you're putting your opening in case you wanted to do inserts. Make sure they're all going the same direction. I haven't messed that up yet, but it's just a matter of time. I know how I am. Kind of like I had my Doodlebug card video go up that apparently has no sound, even though I did the voiceover, so I don't know if I just need to go in and play with the sound on it and adjust it, or if I have to completely like re-record the voiceover. I sincerely hope I just have to adjust the sound, because I might cry if I have to do that again. I don't like doing voiceovers. I only do it in cases where whatever I'm making, I'm not entirely sure how I'm doing it, so I'm kind of experimenting and recording, and if it works, then I go through and I do a voiceover, and if it doesn't work, I try again. Or it's something like, because I did cards, and I didn't want to talk through the whole process, I just wanted to make them and then talk it through. I don't know. It's weird, I know. Okay. And our last one. I realized I got out of frame there for a second because I adjusted the camera. It was more this direction, and I kept going too high the other way because I felt like I was too close, like I was, you know, hunching, working too close to myself. Does that make sense? Okay, let's hold that one for a second. Okay. All right, so now to get these out, you're going to turn, you're going to get your fingers down here, and you're going to slide. Okay? They should slide right out. Sometimes they get a little tight depending on how aggressively you were pushing your page down on top of the spacer, or, you know, if it's got a lot of pages and it gets where it starts to try and dry on the spacer. I had that happen on my huge Holiday Chronicle book, and yeah, that was fun. All right, so as you can see, you have that little gap. All you are going to do is take your fine tip on your glue, and you're just going to go in that gap and then burnish it down. Now, I will caution you, because we did mat the spine underneath the hinge. Be careful when you do this that you get any glue that seeps out on this side, because you will turn the page, you will do the next one, you'll go to turn it back, and it will have glued itself to the pattern paper and it will lift it up. I have done that a ridiculous number of times for somebody who should freaking know better, but here we are. Okay, middle ones, it's not nearly as important that you know, that you get that wiped up, because there's nothing in here that it's going to stick to. But on that outside one, it absolutely can. Okay. And that one, it looks like my top edge kind of slid a little bit, but you know what, it'll be fine. Okay. I don't know. I don't feel like since I designed the spacers and started using them regularly, I don't feel like I've had to go through and rip a page out of a book because it went in crooked. I think I had one tutorial, was it my Halloween book that I had one of my Halloween books, I had one that went in there crooked because I wasn't paying attention. I was talking, which is what you do when you're teaching and recording. And I didn't realize that it had gone crooked until I went to like put a page element on there, and I was like, oh no. So I did end up off camera like pulling it out and fixing it, which I was able to do. It wasn't a problem. But I don't feel like I do that nearly as often as I used to before the spacers. So if you're kind of on the fence, you're not sure, just some food for thought. Okay. Make this last one all done. All right. So This is the top of our book because there's the openings on our page bases. Not that I'm doing inserts with this one, but you will always have that option. It's just personal preference. So let's get to our inside elements. So we've got, I think, 3 pages in this one that are going to be layout pages. Okay, first one being the front inside cover. So, sorry, I was trying to think if I needed to do something else. So I'm going to go ahead and put my matting down on this one just because I have it ready to go. This is 8 1/8 by 8 1/8. We're going to go ahead and put that down just because it's here, it's ready. This is Carta paper, and if I were doing this on a darker cardstock, I would probably have gone ahead and inked, but because it's on the craft, I don't think we really need to. But like a really dusty kind of rose-colored ink or like this kind of gold would probably be really pretty. Okay, so front and side cover, there will be a layout that we'll be doing after we get all the rest of the page elements in. The front of page 1, we have a pull-out. This is 6 by 12 with the 12-inch side at the top of your scoreboard. You're going to score at 4 inches and at 8 inches. You're going to go ahead and do a Z fold on this. I'm going to fold it in this way, and again I'm making sure my sides are lined up and then burnishing from the middle out. Turn my other direction and same thing again. Make sure I'm lined up on the sides and then from the middle out. Okay, and then you're going to grab some of your ribbon if you have purchased the kit. Otherwise, get some ribbon. And I did not cut it off the spool yet, so here we go. Because I never know, I'm such a bad bow tire, I never know how much I'm actually going to need. Okay, so I am going to tie this around my little flip to determine if I've got enough that I need to tie it. Okay, we're good. Ooh. Need my ribbon scissors. I don't usually cut ribbon with these. Okay, we are going to mat this. So for my matting for the front of this page, it is 7 7/8 by 7 7/8. I did use one of the matching solids because that ties in nicely with the bows and things on the other page. Down. Most of my matting is typically going to be an 1/8 of an inch smaller than the element we're matting. So this is an 8 by 8 page, therefore 7 7/8 by 7 7/8. Okay, if you want to do a 1/4 inch math-wise, that's usually a lot easier. I just like that smaller border. I don't know, that's just me. Okay, so this one is going to go in the middle here. We are going to glue on we're going to glue this one down flat. Sorry, I couldn't remember if I was going to leave the top of this open, but I am not because that ribbon would get in the way of you making it into like an additional pocket or whatever for a tag. So we are just going to center that up close as we can. Doesn't have to be perfect. If you want it to be perfect, by all means, get out your ruler and measure away. I don't care. Close enough. All right. Next up, back side of page 2, we have stacked pockets. So the base pocket is going to be 9 by 4. This will come out of your scraps. Okay. That's another thing I usually suggest when you're doing this. Keep your scraps organized, because most of the time when you have a flap or a pocket or something, you can go back through those scraps and find what you need without cutting into a fresh sheet of paper. Just saves you paper, saves you money in the long run. There you go. Okay, 9 inches by 4 inches with the 9 inches at the top. We're going to score it 1/2 inch and 8 1/2. turn to your 4-inch side and you're going to score it 1/2 inch. Our second piece is 9 inches by 2.5 inches. The 9 inches at the top, you're going to score it 1/2 inch and 8.5. Turn to the 2.5 inch side and score it 1/2 inch again. Okay. Because these are pockets, we are going to miter these like we mitered our page bases. Because where we've got tabs that are folding in, you want to get that bulk out of that corner. So again, you're just going to cut straight across where those score lines cross. Okay? And you're going to do that on both pieces. And again. Okay? Now, you're going to fold and burnish the smaller of the two first. So again, we're burnishing from the middle out. Even on these little pieces. Although when it's this small, it's not nearly as important. It's still just make it a habit, then you won't forget you need to do that on the longer pieces. Okay, I'm using my score lines as a visual to line this up on top. And then burnish it down. Okay. In my pockets, I typically will do just the bottom, get everything situated, and then fold it out, burnish it, and then come back in and get the sides. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and fold and burnish the rest of our tabs. And then that is going to go right over here. Okay? So again, I'm going to put glue on the bottom tab. I don't know why this is acting like it's clogged, because I can feel that it is not clogged. Unless it's cracked again. I had one of these. Granted, it had been the one I'd had since like day one with this thing. The bottle itself cracked. I couldn't figure out what was going on until I'm squeezing away and there's like glue right after I refilled it and glue going everywhere. I was like, what on earth? I thought it was the cap. Oh no, I had a big old crack in the side of the bottle. I was like, okay, well, lesson learned. Okay, so we're gonna burnish that down. Open that up again and burnish. So the front of page 2 has a flap and a flip out. So our flap is 8.5 by 4. I'm sorry, 8.5 by 4.25. So with the 8.5 at the top, you're going to score it 1/2 inch. Our little flip out piece is 6 by 8. With the 8 inches at the top, you're going to score at 4 inches. Okay. All you need to do with this one is just fold and burnish. On this one, we're going to miter. And then fold and burnish. Okay. This is going to go up here at the top about a 1/2 inch in from this edge. So I'm going to turn this upside down so I can see for sure where I'm gluing it. Okay. We're going to go, like I said, about 1/2 inch in. If you've got my card and layout spacers, you can use those to do this kind of thing. So how you would use those on the mini album. So I want this, and I ended up like 5/8 of an inch, which is fine. I would lay this on the side here. Ugh, let me grab my clip. Dollar Tree clip. I would get it lined up on the outside edge where I wanted to make sure my flap, however far in I needed it, lay that down, clip it, and then you can butt your edge of your flap up against that to get it spaced exactly where you want it. So they're for more than just layouts, if you were wondering. Okay, so got that. We're going to open this up and you're going to mat this. So again, anytime you're matting the full page, it's going to be 7 7/8 by 7 7/8. No, I think I do want those little plates. Aren't those cute? They're really pretty. So it's a very pretty kind of like rustic yet antique looking paper. I don't know how to describe it, but I really like it. It's really pretty. This was one, when I saw it in the catalog and on the website, I wasn't sure. And then we had gone, my friends and I had gone to that Rocky Mountain Scrapbook Spectacular that Paper Wizard did over the summer. And one of my friends won this collection and she got like their print samples. So I was able to see it in person and went, oh, I really like this. This is pretty. This one we have to have. So this is going to go down underneath, centered, and that's just going to lay down on top because we've got chipboard embellishments, so we'll be able to put that down, put some of the chipboard embellishments on that and make it heavy enough to hold this down. Excuse me for 1 second there. Just needed to grab a drink. Okay. Okay. So I'm just gonna, again, eyeball it, put it down, there you go. Okay, the back side of page 2, we have a side loading pocket. Okay, this is 4 by 9. Again, just using the scraps that you're gonna have from cutting your album bases. Okay. And you're going to have a lot of these left anyway that you can make photo mats with, so like photo mat inserts with. So don't worry, you got lots. You're going to have leftovers. Okay, so 9 inches at the top, you're going to score 1/2 inch and 8 1/2. Turn to the 4-inch side and score it 1/2 inch. And then because it's a pocket, we are going to miter it just like we've been mitering them. So cross the score lines at the bottom, and then take out your little wedge at the top. Okay. Push that down. Push this down. Okay. This is a side loading, so this is going to go like this. I think I debated if I was going to add a flap of some kind on this and decided I didn't want to. Decided it was going to be fine as it is. And it is. Okay. And I did just glue all 3 sides of that at once, which is not how I normally do my pockets, but that's okay. All right. Now, the back side of page, I'm sorry, the front of page 3 is another layout. So we'll come back to actually, putting that layout together. So we're just going to go ahead and mat that so it's ready to go. So again, 7 7/8 by 7 7/8. Now I want that kind of rose-colored side up. It's like a dusty rose. I had a dress about this color in like junior high. I think everybody in the 80s had dresses this color. And couches and drapes. We old people. All right. So, oh my gosh. Okay, so the back side of page 3, we're going to do some kind of floating pockets. So, we're going to mat. Again, I'm going to go ahead and mat this before we score our little pieces and parts here. so that one's matted. You're going to do 2 pockets. And why do I think this is not right? Bear with me one second. I may have to recut this really quickly. That isn't right. Okay. Hold on one second. Let me get that recut. I'll be right back. Okay. Yes, that one absolutely was incorrect. So your first pocket is going to be 6 by 5. With the 6 inches at the top, you're going to score at 1/2 inch and 5 1/2. Turn to the 5-inch side and score at 1/2 inch again. I'll go back over my score lines. I feel like I didn't do those well enough. Your second pocket is going to be 4 1/2 by 3 1/2. The 4 1/2 at the top, you're going to score at 1/2 inch and at 4 inches. Turn to the 3 1/2 side and score at 1/2 inch. Okay, so we are going to miter. Why is this still sitting here? Because I end up working on top of it a lot of times, which I shouldn't do. Okay, and miter this one. All right, so let's go ahead with the larger of the pockets, fold and burnish everything. Okay, this one's gonna go about right here. Okay, and you're just gonna glue it down. Just kind of floating there, okay? Let's go ahead and fold and burnish our smaller one. And this guy is going to kind of float off to the side here. Now, I did not cut my matting for this because I'm not sure what I want to put there. So all I'm going to glue is one side, so I can still flip this open, mat this, and then I can glue this the rest of the way down later. Okay. So we're just going to kind of put this not centered top to bottom, just off to the side like that, and then you've got 2 pockets that are stacked but not in a traditional way. Okay. So you would mat this and then go ahead and glue the rest of this down and then mat it as well. Okay. All right. The front of page 4 also needs to be matted first. I do this a lot in this book, more than I normally ever do. Okay, so I'm going to use the back side of this one with the little houses on it. And go ahead and put that down so we're ready. Okay. The pocket that is going on this is going to be both a flap and a pocket, okay? But I wanted it to be a pocket that you're actually going to be able to slide things into, so it's not a flat pocket, if that makes sense, okay? You have a piece that is 8 by 7 with the 7 inches at the top. You're going to score at 1/2 inch and at 6 1/2, okay? And turn to the 8-inch side and you're going to score at 4 inches. Now, before you do anything else, you are going to take and miter and miter and miter. So you're taking this little wedge out. Okay. Now we're going to fold our top pieces. Now we need to miter those too. It's been a while since I've done one of these. Okay, so you want to go ahead and miter here and here. Now these bottom ones we need to cut out. Okay, sorry. It's like pocket flap, not, yeah. I promise I know what I'm doing today. Okay. So we are going to cut along that score line. If you want to do it in your trimmer, go for it. I just don't have the trimmer out. At least the one I would normally use for this. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and fold this like so, just because that's the bumpy side of my score line. Then I'm going to come back the other direction and I'm going to fold it like that. Okay, so when we glue this down, we're going to glue these sides and the bottom here, which honestly we could leave it like just the sides and do it as a small belly band, but I don't think I want to do it that way. Do I want to do it that way? You know what? Let's do it that way. That, I think I like that idea better. So let me change my note again. Okay, sorry about that. It was late last night when I was designing this and getting everything kind of cut and my initial directions written up, because that's worked really well, actually. Okay, so we are just going to center this on the page, and then this will open up, and then you can absolutely get your 4x6 photo mats underneath here, sideways. You can get a 5x7 in there sideways, and that will work. Like so. And again, we have chipboard pieces to mat and decorate with, that will be enough to weigh that down. Okay. The back side of page 4 is, you guessed it, another layout. This one we're going to use little tag paper. Again, 7 7/8 by 7 7/8. I designed this as one that is a simpler album where you could put this together for somebody and give it to them as a gift, and it's not going to be hard for them to figure out where to put their pictures. There's not a ton of flaps and flips and things and sliders and, you know, all the things that those of us that make these know about and know what to do with. See, I got just a little bit of paper that oozed right there, but that's okay. So that you could give this to somebody who knows nothing about mini albums, and it's going to be obvious where they're going to put pictures and other things. Okay, so in case you're wondering, like, okay, this is really simple, that's why. All right, back inside cover. We're going to mat it first. I know, it's shocking. Now, I want the big roses on this side. So we're going to do the big roses. Okay, so because this is the cover matting, this is 8 1/8 by 8 1/8. Okay, and we are going to do a waterfall. Okay, so the waterfall pieces, you need 5 pieces that are 4 by 4.5. Each of these with the 4.5 at the top of your scoreboard. You are going to score at 1/2 inch on all 5 of these. Because it is a waterfall, we are not going to miter anything. We are just going to fold and burnish. Burnish, and there we go. So in order to figure out where I want to place this and how far down I want it, I'm going to kind of fold my pieces over and stack them on the back side so I get an idea of where everything's going to sit. Okay, and I can look at this and go, okay, these are spaced about right, and I can figure out how far over I want this to go. I am going to put this over to the edge as opposed to centered. You can put it centered, that will be fine. And I'm going to start about right here. Okay, so I'm just making myself a little pencil mark. Now I'm going to grab these, and to help myself get this nice and straight on this side, I'm going to take my 1-inch spacer. I am going to clip this to the outside edge of my book, like so, to help line up the outside edge of my waterfall. Okay? So I'm going to put my first one down. Again, I found my little pencil mark here. And burnish that down. Okay? Open it up, go to our next one. And again, making sure everything is lined up. And just continue down like that. Good so far. This might, I'm not going to jinx myself, never mind. I'll say it when we're done. Jim will probably know what I was about to say and jinx myself with. Okay. Alright. On our last one, so that we do not have this little tab hanging out, I am going to fold it back and put it on top of the one before it. So when you flip that up, no tab, but you still get your waterfall spacing. Okay. Okay, now that it's down and I'm not jinxing myself, this is, I guarantee you, probably the straightest waterfall I've ever made that was not on top of a pocket or a belly band or something like that. All right, so come back in and burnish, and burnish, and burnish, because we did not do any ribbon, which is fine. I think once it's matted, it's going to lay down just fine. Okay, so there is that. And other than coming back to do our layout pages, that's it. Oh, and you want ribbon on your outside for a closure if you would like. You don't have to. The only place we've really used it so far is right there. You could add ribbon as a closure on this one if you wanted to. Same thing with this one if you wanted to, but where I did it as a belly band, I wouldn't necessarily want to do that because anything you slide under there is going to catch on that ribbon. And if you wanted to put one on here, you could. I just didn't think it was going to be needed. So I'm going to add some ribbon on my outside here before I mat that. We'll do that when we do the layouts when we come back. Okay, layouts. So for the front inside cover, we are going to do a 5x7 photo mat. We are going to take a mat, do a mat from our solids that is 5 1/8 by 7 1/8. Whoops. Okay. And that's just to give it that little bit of, to make it stand out a little bit more. If you wanted to do it, trim the photo mat down another 1/8 of an inch to 4 7/8 by 6 7/8, you absolutely could. That would actually look good. And then I've got this 3x4 cut apart that I'm going to mat onto the lighter pink that's on the other side. So that's the back side of that. Like so. And then I'm going to glue this kind of down here offset, and of course not gluing where it's going to get on top of the photo mat, so I can still slip a picture under there at whatever point. I was going to say something I'm going to have to edit out, so never mind. Oh, forget it. I'll just say it. So, you know, when hell freezes over and I actually put pictures in an album, because we all know that never happens in this house. Or more likely, at whatever point I sell this as a completed sample, because I do have those on my website as well. It's ready for somebody to slip a picture underneath. Okay. Next one, I have three 3¼ by 3¼ photo mats, and matting for those that is 3 3/8 by 3 3/8. So we're going to go ahead and just put those down. Oh, for crying out loud. I literally just took this thing apart, cleaned out the tip entirely, and it just is not playing nicely with me tonight. Okay. Because I'm talking bad about it, now it's going to work. Okay. And then I have this from the 4x4 cut aparts that I did trim down just so it wasn't like this huge 4x4, that I think I took, I think I did 3½ by 3 3/4, and I don't know where, I lost my ruler over here somewhere. Yeah, so 3 3/4 by 3½. So in that case, I'm going to go 3 7/8 by 3 5/8. And mat that one. I think, you know, let's put these, kind of lay these out first. Make sure that doesn't make it feel too big. No, I think it needs to be on there. I think it'll be fine. Okay. And honestly, I think it was slightly under what I said. So I would have gone the same all around, but the sides on this were not as wide as top and bottom were. So that's why it's kind of a different size there. Okay, so we're going to put that one down in that bottom corner, like so. And then go ahead and place the rest of them down. And we're going to kind of space them all together in the center. Like that, so that the spacing between them through the middle is about the same. This one could have come up a little bit, but I think it's fine where it is. Okay. And then that one I haven't matted that pocket yet. Alright, for this one, I have a 4x6 mat on a 4 1/8 by 6 1/8 solid. We're going to put that one over here. like so. And then this little cut apart, I'm just going to mat on the back side of that again. Okay. No, I did not mean to go that far to the one side. That's okay though. Okay, so again, we're just going to go offset like that. I do have some more of this paper left. I've got a strip here somewhere. Then I may end up fussy cutting out a couple of these little tags just to kind of put on here as well. I'm not sure yet because, of course, this all still needs decorated. I've got it mostly matted. I've only got a couple spots left to mat, and then I'm going to do, you know, photo mats and things in there. And then so for your outside, wherever my score tape is disappeared to. Okay, I'm going to grab my ribbon. And I'm going to just center that up there. Turn this over, get my next piece of tape ready, and I'm going to kind of pull this out, and I cut off extra ribbon. You're not going to have quite as much. Actually, you might, I don't know. It's easier to do full yard lengths than try to do like 1.5. So it's probably going to be 2 yards of ribbon if you are purchasing the kit. Like so. Then I can come out here and cut that in half. And then I just need to mat and decorate my cover. And I do have my matting figured out, but that's as far as I've gotten. So I am going to go with this, I actually have it, oops, turn the book the right way would help. So 8 1/8 by 8 1/8. So this is one of the papers, obviously. Why did I just say that? Oh my god, it's late. It's late. I need to get done. I really would like to finish this off first. So we're going to power through. Fortunately, we are almost at the end of the recording, so it'll be okay. That looks more right to me than the way I had it turned. Okay, so that's going on the cover, and then I've got this solid for the spine and the back. Nothing too exciting. I just got glue on that. I really love this like kind of dusty rose color that's in this collection. And I'm not a pink person, but this is like pink without being pink, you know? Got a little bit of a glue gunk there, but that's okay. And then we'll use that same side for the spine. And again, the spine is 8 1/8 by 1 7/8. And there you go. Just need to finish matting a couple spots inside and then decorating, and that will be your finished project. As always, thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting me and my channel and my website and all the things. And if you end up grabbing this kit and making your own, I'd love to see your finished pictures. Please share them in Scrap Happy Peeps. That is our all crafts welcome Facebook group. It does not have to be anything that you have purchased from me. It can be anybody else's tutorial, kit, things you've made yourself. It doesn't have to be paper crafting. We want to see it over there. So go check that out, and I will be back again soon with another project.